Hello, greetings from cloudy and rainy Amsterdam. Welcome to Masterclass, Chatbot for Businesses. And during this session, our live chat will be enabled, so feel free to ask some questions. And at the end, if the time allows, I will definitely answer some of them. Before we continue, it's good to do a short introduction. So basically, we are Sentience. It's a startup based in Amsterdam, and our primary area of focus is the area of artificial intelligence and machine learning. So we are delivering products, services, and knowledge in this domain. My name is Vladimir. I will be today's presenter and host. I have many years of experience working within IT industry, within multiple and different roles. Also, I have a master's degree in artificial intelligence, so definitely helps with topics like this. As I have prepared a lot of content for today, and already as mentioned in the announcement of the training, of the workshop, we have definitely two parts. One part is related to the chatbots themselves, and the other one is mostly related to how are we tailoring chatbots to the specific businesses. So let's start. So what is a chatbot? There are a lot of definitions that could be found on the internet. Basically, they are called disruptors, or they are pieces of software which are communicating with people. I like to use the very simple definition. Chatbot is a software product capable of running the conversation. It's very simple. This technology is quite some time with us. The first chatbot was built in 1960s, and it's developed in MIT. It was called ELIZA 3, and essentially it was a very simple rule-based chatbot solution. We will see later on what are the rule-based chatbots. The question is, why is this technology so much expanding in a recent couple of years? There are two reasons for this. One of them is that the exponential growth of messaging platforms is heavily contributing to the chatbot technology itself, because the people are using the messaging platforms. And the second reason why the chatbots are in expansion is that we have experienced enormous increase in computer processing power, especially CPUs and GPUs, artificial intelligence enabled chips. They all help the chatbots, especially the one based on machine learning and deep learning, which benefit from the fast processing power. I have also identified three different classifications which will help us during this session. There are again a lot of classifications which you can find on the internet based on multiple criteria. So let's focus on the three important for this session. First classification is by domain, and you will encounter chatbots which are classified as horizontal or generalist or open domain, versus on the other side vertical, specialist, or closed domain, domain-specific chatbots. What is the major difference? Vertical chatbots are focused only to specific tasks. For example, think of having a chatbot which orders a pizza, or schedules a meeting, or books a flight. They might be enriched with some functionalities for some kind of chit chats or small talks. However, they're pretty much focused, and their entire attention is going toward one specific goal. On the other side, the horizontal open domain chatbots are trying to solve all kinds of problems. So when we talk about horizontal chatbots, think of Siri or Google virtual assistant. So these chatbots are able, for example, to set the alarm on your mobile device, or send an email, or even answer what is the weather at the moment. Yeah. The problem with horizontal chatbots is that most of the time they fail to meet customers' expectations. So if you're trying to look for a chatbot for your business, definitely the vertical one will be the best starting point. The next classification is based on the user input. So initially, when the chatbots have appeared, they were pretty simple a couple of years ago. They still exist, but they were mostly in a menu form. So, for example, a chatbot offers several buttons or several options, and the entire communication is based on choosing specific option. This is definitely the simplest way to deliver a chatbot experience. But the problem with this, it's very difficult for the user to go back into the conversation. And sometimes this conversation can go pretty deep, and the user can just get lost. Picking up the options is a very limited experience for the customer. The next level are the chatbots who are based on a keyword recognition. So it is a bit more advanced because the user input is a sentence. So user types a sentence, and then chatbot within this sentence picks up specific keywords which will help him to understand what was the user's intention. For example, if I have a chatbot for scheduling a meeting, I can test any user sentence for the words schedule and meeting, and if I find these two words in the sentence, I am pretty confident as a chatbot that my user wants to schedule a meeting. But there's a problem with these chatbots. It's very difficult for them to make a difference between I want to schedule a meeting and I do not want to schedule a meeting. So basically, we have to type all possible combination of words which can help chatbot to understand the user's intention. And the last one, the most complex, are the natural language understanding chatbots. These chatbots are usually backed up by machine learning components, and they are capable to understand the human sentence, which can contain even synonyms, and it can be in different form and shape. And also these chatbots do not require capturing all possible keywords and combinations because they're based on a machine learning. And that brings us to the last classification by the intelligence, where we have let's say, less intelligent chatbots. They are mostly rule-based chatbots, and we have a machine learning chatbots, two flavors of them, generative and retrieval-based. So basically, how the rule-based chatbots work. It is pretty similar to what I have mentioned with in respect to the keywords recognition. So there is a set of rules on the chatbot side, which helps chatbot to detect what is the user's intention. And then once the chatbot knows what is the user's intention, he either does some action and also serves some response back to the user. The set of responses is predefined, and the chatbot is just picking up one of the replies. So basically, to make this kind of chatbot, you just need to identify all the user inputs and make the rules related to understanding of these inputs. And what's also very important for any kind of chatbot, if you look at them, no matter how intelligent they are or how they are built, it's all about understanding what user wants, understanding the information user is passing to chatbot, and doing some action in the background, and giving the response. Let's put an example. Let's say that user says, I want to book a table for 4 persons tonight in the restaurant, yeah? So first, chatbot has to understand that this is an intention of booking the event, not canceling the event. Then he has to understand that there is a table required for 4 persons. Then this chatbot has to be connected to some database or agenda or of the restaurant to check if the table is available. And if the table is available, he will send email with a confirmation or something like this. So basically, this is the high level how any chatbot, no matter how is it smart or not, how they function. Getting back to a bit more intelligent chatbots in the domain of machine learning, I have mentioned there are 2 of them. One is a generalizing chatbot, and the other one is a retrieval-based chatbot. If you look on this picture on the left side, it looks simple, but this model for generative chatbot, it's extremely complex. It requires to be built. It requires a special skill sets like data scientists and machine learning engineers and specialists. And basically, it also requires a huge amount of training data to get sufficient knowledge. The advantage of generalizing chatbots, generative chatbots, sorry, is that they can generalize. So it means that they can respond to the input they have never seen. So if the user asks a chatbot any question, some question for which chatbot is not trained, the chatbot will be able to reply. On the negative side, these chatbots can create grammatical error and sometimes understandable sentences. Retrieval-based chatbots are picking up replies from the predefined sets. So it means that they will not introduce any grammatical or logical errors in their response. But machine learning here is used for this natural language understanding. Like we mentioned already, these chatbots are capable to understand the synonyms, and they are capable to understand the sentences which they have never seen during the training phase. And then if you put this in the context of the open and closed domain, we can see that creating a retrieval-based chatbot for the open domain is impossible. The reason for this is it's definitely not possible to create rules for all the knowledge which is out there in the world. So it is impossible to have open domain retrieval-based chatbot. On the other side, if you look at the closed domain, we can see that this is definitely a sweet spot for the businesses, where the businesses can receive the biggest value from the chatbot technology in closed domains. So it means if you are using these so-called vertical chatbots. This is a very interesting picture, a bit colorful. It describes what is currently happening on the market, and we see this outer area with the tools, then the inner circle with providers, then we see the brands, and in the very middle we see, let's say, messaging platforms. So what does it mean? So if you look, for example, left and right quadrant, so right and left side of the picture. On the right side, we have a support domain. So it means if you look at the brands in the right quadrant, they are mostly using chatbots for the support purposes. For example, to collecting issues or some kind of providing information to the end customer. On the left side brands, for example, on the right side there is, for example, KLM, Mastercard, Bosch, and so on. These companies are mostly using chatbots for the support purposes, customer support purposes. On the left side, if you see, for example, NBA or brands like this, they are using chatbots for marketing purposes or product promotions purposes. So this is different. There are different use cases on the left and right side. The lower and upper quadrant, it's about upper quadrant is showing the managed platforms, and the lower quadrant is showing the self-service platforms, self-serve platforms. What is the difference? So basically, the managed platforms are those who definitely require help or support from providing businesses or business providers, while the self-service or self-serve, as the name says, is literally click and configure. So basically, they are very easy to configure by the businesses themselves without any special knowledge. Of course, because they are do-it-yourself, they might have some limitations in the use case, depending on the business use case. And looking at the tools, so this is the outer area. On the far upper right corner, these tools like TensorFlow from Google or Torch from Facebook or MXNet from Amazon, these tools require machine learning specialists and engineers. These tools are definitely not do-it-yourself. They're most powerful, but usually solutions based on these tools are most expensive. On the other side, quite opposite, if you look at the lower left quadrant, and for example, API, it is rebranded, it's acquired by Google, now it's known as a Dialogflow. These solutions require less engineering capacities and definitely are, in that sense, time to market with these solutions is shorter, and they might be, of course, cheaper in that sense. And let's take a look at just a few of examples. One of the market leaders is IBM Watson, and advantages, or let's say of IBM Watson is, for example, they have a very big, they have automated predictive analysis services, and they also have a supporting analytics which can detect sentiment, for example, or convert voice to text and so on and so on. On the other side, IBM Watson is a bit more expensive than the other in this group. Dialogflow is owned by Google, and it comes with a lot of pre-built agents which model conversation, for example, for HR job interviewing or for ordering products, or for example, and so on. So there are a lot of pre-configured agents which can be used out of the box. Dialogflow also has a multilingual support, so it supports 15 languages, and it has very easy interface. However, it is not a tool which can be used in a so-called drag and drop manner, so it doesn't have a graphical user interface. Microsoft Framework is also one of these, of the platforms, and definitely it's coming from Microsoft. One of the advantages is it nicely integrates with the Skype, for example. And the last one in the group is a Rasa stack. This one is very special. The previous three are the platforms which are hosted in a public cloud. However, Rasa stack as an open source solution can be used on your premises or in your private cloud. For some business cases, this is extremely important. If you have a very strict data protection or security policies, and you're not allowed, due to some regulations, to host your customers' data in the public cloud, Rasa stack is definitely the way to go, because it's very powerful platform, a very powerful solution. Of course, it comes with some additional costs comparing to public cloud solutions, but this is related mostly to the development of custom solutions than to the limitation of Rasa stack. We have a pretty good experience with Rasa stack, and we definitely would recommend it. So let's then reflect a bit. If you look at the chatbots as a software product, so what do we see on a good side? They definitely can scale. So it's very easy to add one chatbot which can serve additional 100 customers, and scales much better than human power. They are lowering overall costs, of course. They are available 24/7. They are consistent in behavior. Chatbots do not have a bad day, or they're not in a bad mood, so they behave pretty consistently. Because they're software products, they integrate with other software products, and they definitely can analyze huge amounts of data. If done properly, they create a great customer experience, and they are available on different digital channels and platforms. Now, if you look at the graph on the right side, there is a green line which is having an exponential trend, and a gray line which has a pretty linear trend. So the green one, the exponential trend, is the usage of messaging applications, and the gray one is the usage of social networking applications. So what we said, chatbots are natively tied to messaging channel and platforms, so definitely chatbot technology is following this trend of messaging platforms. On the bad side, chatbots are not human, so no matter how well built, they will never still behave that well as a human support. Also, one of the researchers says that if the chatbot experience is negative in the customer eyes, 73% of customers will not try it again in the near future. Also, chatbot is having difficulty to handle multiple questions at once. If I ask the chatbot, what is the weather and what should I wear? Most of them will not be able to understand these two separate questions in one. Also, they are not very good in tracking the conversational context far in history. So if we talk about one topic and we switch the topic, they are not going to remember what we discussed initially. Mostly, chatbots should focus on a simpler use cases. If they try to do too much, they will not deliver expected experience. And definitely, the more complex they are, they cost more. So far, we have seen what are the chatbots. We have shown some of classification criteria, explained a bit how they work, seen the platforms which are available on the market, and we have seen where they are good at and where they are bad at. Now we are moving to the second part. It's about using the chatbots in the business. So these are some of the common use cases. For example, ordering pizza, ordering flowers, recruiting assistance, answering frequently asked questions. You can see booking travels, accommodations, claim fillings, findings, and so on and so on. These are only some of the use cases where you can naturally expect to see the chatbot solution. And then the question is, if you're a business and if you are looking to implement the chatbot and you're still not sure why would you do it, we have first to understand what is the real added value to your business. Sometimes you definitely don't need a chatbot. I like to give an example of frequently asked question FAQ page, which for most businesses is quite sufficient. On the other side, there are so-called knowledge bots, which can be also used to provide specific information to the customer. If the list of the question is pretty clear, then having a complex chatbot solution might be overhead. However, the best is to combine two approaches. So let's imagine following situation. We have a customer support bot, chatbot, which can also answer questions like what are the working hours, what is the services or what are the products company is delivering, what about returning policies, and so on and so on. And then by having insights in all these conversations with a huge amount of customers, as a nice report, FAQ page can be extracted out of these chatbot conversations. So this is a good example how we combine FAQ with the knowledge bot. Going back to the slide, why is the chatbot technology, where is also one of the values in it? First of all, the customer base who is very familiar with messaging platform. Chatbots are using messaging platforms, so we do not need to additionally train customers and clients to use messaging platforms. Everyone knows how to use messaging platforms. So the channel is there, it's open. Chatbots can create a great user experience because the interaction with the chatbot is going via native language. It's much easier than just clicking and searching all over the place for the information we need. Also, chatbots create a lot of engagements because we are talking about exchanging about conversation. And due to the nature of the conversation, chatbots are also creating fluent customer journey because conversation is a medium which runs fluently. We have, if we keep track record of the conversation, then the business can extract valuable insights into what the customers expect from business, what they like or what they don't like, or what are the biggest issues. Chatbot is shortening response time for sure, and no more waiting time on phone or waiting for letters. As like I said before, because there are software components, software products, they can search huge amount of data, and they also are focusing on relevant data. So it means that customer asks a question, he gets the answer instead of searching on the web pages where might be a lot of overwhelming data, a lot of information not necessary at that moment for the customer. Chatbots can create personalized customer experience, and definitely it increases the reputation of your brand because you are using the latest and you are innovating your business in that sense. They're 24/7 and scalable, and they are at the end cutting operational costs. Some of the tips. Before you start thinking about creating chatbot, first define a proper use case. This is very important because we said in some cases chatbot is not a way to go. Then you have to choose the right platform. Like we said, is the chatbot going to be used as a service from the public cloud, from providers like Google, Microsoft, IBM, or you will have chatbot running in your private cloud or in your premises. This decision is mostly driven by two factors. One is security and data privacy concerns, and the second one is, of course, the costs. They are impacted definitely by this, by what approach we take. Before going into implementation with the chatbots, the right skill set of the expert should be chosen. So basically, what does it all mean? It means are they the machine learning engineers or data scientists or customer journey experts? So the right skill set of people with also right mindset must be employed. Stick to the vertical domain definitely, because we said the horizontal chatbots can pretty easily fail and make human takeover possible for uninterrupted customer journey. The worst thing what can happen is after several sentences being exchanged, that the chatbot start saying some irrelevant things like I don't understand or start doing some chit chat. It can be very frustrating for the customer. So it's very important that the chatbot detects this confusion point and that offers at that moment the handover for a human operator. And when this happens, be clear and transparent, because it can be very frustrating and confusing if the customer is not aware if he's talking to the chatbot or he's talking to the human being. Once chatbot goes live, you have to monitor it in production. You have to see how is he, what is the accuracy of his responses. This will definitely impact the customer satisfaction. And a chatbot should be on a regular basis trained on data coming from your production systems, from conversation with your customers. So what are the improvement points? It's also good to take a sentiment into consideration. If to detect in a user sentence, in a user input, if the user is happy, if the user is angry or frustrated or unhappy. This can help a lot to determine, are we going immediately to do a handover to a human or to try to switch conversations in different direction. Because of that, be proactive also. If you spotting to conversation opportunity to bring in the customer into the conversation, that's good. That should be done. If you are talking about personalized experience, then we should store somewhere user details and preferences, and from time to time refer to them. And also, chatbot should not be boring. There should be some diversity in responses. This is what creates the stickiness effect on it. Try to sound human, but like I said, not too human, because it can be confusing. Emojis and stickers can be used to make the conversation a bit more relaxed. Chatbots should be also empathic, but in order to be empathic, they should determine the sentiment of the user inputs. Always use clear and simple messages. There should be also some personality added to chatbot. Chatbot can also have its own preferences, and during conversation can be biased also. It's more human in that sense. And what is the last point is always review analytics, because it will make possible to tune up and improve your chatbot. The relevant metrics which we expect to increase after using the chatbot is customer satisfaction score and customer effort score. Definitely, if you create a great user experience and the customer is properly served by our chatbot platform, the customer satisfaction score will grow, and also customer effort score will grow if the customer can easier solve the problems when they encounter with the business. We have also assembled some of the checklists. In several next couple of slides, you will see the checklist, but this is a limited list. The original list is much bigger, but let's just go for it to see where should we pay focus attention. So, for example, if we are talking about the problem which is triggering us to use a chatbot, first we have to understand what are we trying to solve, and who is the end user, whose problem at the end this chatbot is trying to solve. And why do we think that the chatbot is the right way to solve? Once we get through this section and we'll talk about solution, we have then to understand how are we going to solve the problem with the chatbot, and also most important, how do we know that we have solved it? And relating to the chatbot for his skills, interactions, and scenarios, so first question is, what is the key scenario for a chatbot? So if you have for example, chatbot for ordering a pizza, there might be two scenarios. One is order pizza, and second one is cancellation the order. So probably makes sense to start first with the ordering pizza, and then after that with canceling the pizza. But the idea is to pick up the most representative scenario which can add the biggest value on the shortest time frame. How do we prioritize scenario, and also what are the intervention points when the human operator should step into conversation if necessary. Related to the bot experience, we also have to think about what is the bot's personality and how do we measure if the chatbot gets confused. Channels, technology. So what chat platforms are is the user, our users are using? Are they using messenger applications, or they are using email? Chatbot also can be attached to the email, but we definitely lose this benefit of having a fast and fluent conversation. So this is very important to know your user and to know what platforms, messaging and communication the user, what channels users are using. Regarding the metrics, we have to measure the health of the chatbot. How do we know that he is accurate enough? And also, what are the key success targets? How do we know that the chatbot managed to fulfill its goals? And let's not forget the customer also. We should measure the customer's experience with the chatbot. After we go to the market, we have to ask ourselves, well, maybe definitely before we go to the market, why is this solution better than the status quo or not having a chatbot at all? And how do we make easy to for people to try and test the bot? The best advice is never go with the big bang releases because they always fail. Chatbots are always, mostly, and usually released as a pilots in controlled and smaller groups. And once we are quite confident that they are delivering proper experience, then we are slowly expanding this user group. Last thing, it's more about marketing, but what will be the name for the bot, because this is again impacting the stickiness factor, how much your end user will be, and in what manner will be connected to the chatbot experience. So, slightly we are wrapping up the session. In the first part, we have seen what are the chatbots. We went through the classification and understood how they work, what are the platforms, and what are still challenges or positive sides of chatbots. On the second part, we have seen some of the use cases. We have identified what is the most important value for the business. We have seen what can improve the chatbots, and we went through the checklist, which can help to build and deliver an awesome chatbot experience. On the commercial side, because this is the beginning of the holiday season, we have decided to convert all your free tickets to business packages. And it's basically, after this presentation, an email will be sent to everyone. On this email, there will be a link to the survey form, and please fill the survey form, leave the email, and we will contact you to explain how to claim the downloadable content. And also, what's most important, we offer 1 hour of question and answer session, so you can discuss your potential issues or ideas, or ask us anything related to your case. In the same survey, which will be sent at the end of the session, there is a question about your preference for the further sessions. We plan to do more sessions in the next period, and the one which has the most votes will be definitely the next one in a row. So we have identified 3 potentially interesting topics. How much does it cost to build a chatbot? What are the chatbot relevant metrics? And chatbot building showcase. So we might show even in one of the public cloud, Dialogflow is a good example. We're pretty good with this platform, so we can show how to build your chatbot in a short amount of time, period. Here on site in Amsterdam, we are preparing full day workshops. There are 2 major topics which will happen in next year. One is artificial intelligence and machine learning for businesses, and the second one is hands-on training, how to build your chatbot on your premises. So we will show it on a Rasa stack. Like I said, it's a full day training, and we expect to deliver to our potential, our, let's say, students, participants, valuable knowledge. So we have reached the end of today's broadcast. Follow us on Twitter. We have also a website. We will publish relevant information on our website as well. And if you have any question regarding today's presentation, you can always contact me. After you send us the filled-in survey, we will contact you to explain you how to download the relevant material and how to claim your business package. So that is it for today. Have a nice holidays, and thank you very much for your participation. Until next time.